A word of warning, this podcast explores graphic and disturbing stories and includes some strong language. It therefore may not be suitable for our young listeners or other folks who may find it disturbing. Hello and welcome to True Crime News, the podcast covering high-profile and under-the-radar cases from across the country every week. I'm your host, Ana Garcia. Our case this week. If you have to ask, am I a bad person because I chose to end his existence, not divorce? Not only are you bad, you are evil. And you are a criminal. This is the case of a ghost hunter who becomes the hunted, but it's not a spirit from the afterlife trying to kill him. It was his wife who wanted him dead. Police say the wife of the reality star became pen pals with an inmate who was going to help carry out the murder plot. She's been sentenced and will be behind bars, but the husband says he is still haunted by his wife's deception. We're recording this on Monday, June 9th of 2025. Our guest today is Don Tabak, a retired LAPD homicide detective who worked on some of LA's most high-profile cases. Don, welcome to the program. You're new. We're so thrilled to have you.
Anna, what a pleasure to be here and a thrill. And I'm excited to talk to you about this.
Oh, this is fantastic. This is really good. We love new guests, and we love your perspective. This is, Don, it's usually the most logical person close to you who is generally the first suspect most of the time, right?
Correct.
And what I find interesting about this case when we get into the details, it sounds to me like the two members of this marriage were having radically different experiences. He says he was very happy and marriage was blissful, and she apparently was so unhappy. She was having affairs, even an emotional affair with a convicted murderer.
I got to tell you, Anna, when I read this, first of all, there is no way in this world that fool did not know his wife was stepping out and his marriage was crumbling. No way. Unless this is the biggest dumbass, excuse my French, that I've ever come across. There's no way. And she's just an idiot, just an absolute idiot. And hopefully she gets help in prison because she is just lost it.
She definitely needs some serious help here. I don't know what is wrong with her. I will give him, the husband, a little bit of a pass because I think sometimes your partner can be so good at deception, right? And can appear to be loving. And if you're on the road a lot, like he was traveling for his reality show, that he may not have known. I'm not saying that there weren't flags, but I just, based on how he cried so much at sentencing and how emotionally wounded he is, I honestly believe that he thought he was in a happy marriage. Today's case has made huge headlines because the target of this murder plot is the star of a reality series called Ghost Adventures. This case is out of Clark County, Nevada. Now, Victoria Goodwin, who's 32 years old, has been sentenced to a term of anywhere between 3 to 7.5 years in prison for plotting the murder of her husband, 48-year-old Aaron Goodwin. Now, keep in mind that this is all part of a plea deal. So if you're saying, wow, this doesn't sound like a lot of time behind bars, obviously, no, it is not. She planned this murder plot with a 36-year-old Florida inmate named Grant Amato. Police say that he was in contact with a third party that was expected to execute this plot. You have to understand, here's the complexity of it. They're married, Victoria and Aaron. Victoria sees a documentary about this criminal. He killed both his parents and his brother. I mean, the man is a psychopath without question. Why she starts writing to him in prison and what she found attractive about him is beyond my comprehension. And somehow this relationship then turns into this man behind bars is going to find someone on the outside to kill her husband. It's ridiculous.
And you know what? This has happened over and over again where somebody wants somebody killed and they start by finding somebody in prison. Figuring, well, you're in prison, so you'll know somebody, right? And because she saw him or his story, she had his name and thought, oh, God, if you killed your parents, you could kill my husband very easily. And I think that's where the relationship starts. And again, it never works. Most of these plots are always stopped because someone either rolls over or gets chicken out or wants more money from the feds as an informant. And then they send the cop in to play this. So this was going to fail from the get-go with them. The guy she selects, did she not know his background, right? And what a nutbag he is absolutely going to be and how she's setting this up. And to tell the guy, and I think we were at the part, am I a bad person? Am I?
When you ask that question, I always, how you ask, well, divorce is so much easier. Agreed. She asked that question out loud in writing. Right then and there, she had the ability to say, stop, this is not a good idea. But no one ever presses the pause button and says, this is really not a good idea. What is wrong with people?
What does retirement look like? To me, probably what you're dreaming of. A carefree, fun retirement with no worry that I have enough money. I mean, right? That's what we worry about when it comes to retirement. Will we have enough money? Well, today's podcast is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns is a financial wellness app that makes it easy to start investing for your retirement because the sooner you start, the more of a chance your money has to grow. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns recommends a diversified IRA portfolio that can help you weather all of the market's ups and downs. You don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you get started with the money that you've got right now. You'd be surprised at what just $5 a day could do. Plus, sign up for Acorns Gold and you will get a 3% IRA match on new contributions in your first year. That's extra money for your retirement on Acorns. Investing can seem overwhelming or complicated, but Acorns makes it easy. Even if you start small, Acorns can help you get a plan in place to set yourself up for the future. Sign up now and join the over 1 million all-time customers who have already saved and invested over $2.2 billion for their retirement with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/truecrime or download the Acorns app to get started. Paid non-client endorsement compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/truecrime.
So a little background on the couple here. Aaron Goodwin has been the host of the reality TV show Ghost Adventures with 3 other people for a very long time. The show premiered in 2008 on the Travel Channel, then moved over to Discovery Plus in 2021. The program follows investigators as they explore locations around the world that are reportedly haunted. A very popular show. A lot of people know who Aaron Goodwin is. And a lot of people would follow him on social media. The two of them shared their romance, their engagement, their wedding on social media. So you kind of feel like you are following along with their lives. So Aaron and Victoria had been together for a few years before finally deciding to get married in May of 2020. Of course, COVID delayed the ceremony, and the official marriage was at, of all places, Disney World's Haunted Mansion in August of 2022. How appropriate is that, Don? Come on, you old romantic.
It was beautiful. Beautiful.
So Victoria had been a golfer in college. Her pro career was derailed because she has a rare disease that affects her ability to swallow. And she was an advocate for others suffering with the illness. You have no sympathy, do you? Do you, Don?
No, she was suffering from dumbness is what she was suffering from.
At the time of the incident, the couple was living in Las Vegas, and we understand that as Andrew's celebrity grew and the show's popularity grew, apparently that was affecting the marriage, at least on Victoria's end. She had several affairs, but that would not be revealed until the murder plot was uncovered. Aaron did not know about these affairs. And I do believe when someone is duplicitous and tries to fool everyone, they can also fool their partner. We've seen the great lengths that people go to cover up their true selves. And I think Victoria was masterful at that in this case. But she picked like the dumbest partner as an accomplice for murder, a convicted murderer behind bars whose phone was confiscated by the guards in prison. And that's how this whole plot was revealed and thwarted. What I wondered on, does your gut tell you that this plot really was going to end up in murder? Do you believe that this man on the inside had someone who was actually going to do this?
I can't talk on that. I can talk that this was never going to happen. The plot was so messed up and it was so bifurcated that I just don't think it was ever going to happen. I don't know if there really was a trigger man on this. Like he's at the hotel sleeping and let me know what goes on. Right. You don't put stuff like that. If you want to get away with a murder, first of all, you don't involve a lot of people. A, B, you don't sit there and put it on something that can be confiscated. It can be resurrected. It can be found. And like I said, for this guy being in prison and knowing that eventually, and I'll tell you, there's phones in those prisons all the time now. Right. There's contraband going into these prisons all the time. So it's not a big shocker. Like, well, how did he get a phone? Well, it's very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 here, the guard. Not saying that they're all that way, but there's complicity with them. And there's just too much that was going on back and forth between them. If you're going to be a true hit, you get a guy, one person, and that's the individual. You don't sit there and have this plot that was basically televised, by a phone. So I think was doomed to fail anyway. And I don't think she had the intelligence to really put together a true murder for hire plot like that. I just think they talked about way too much that could be discovered. But she asks a killer, am I a bad person for wanting this?
Right. You're the one who's going to judge me. A person with no moral compass. I'll ask, do you think I'm bad? It's like, really? Oh, who else is compared to him? Actually, you're fantastic. You're an angel compared to the convicted triple murderer. But all right. Anyway, let's get back to what was going on here. So poor Aaron, he says he was completely unaware of his wife's infidelities, and he really did thought that he was in a happy marriage. This is from his perspective. Aaron said, "For 7 years, I thought I was in the most loving relationship of marriage with my best friend, someone who I trusted with my whole heart and laughed with every day." Aaron said he was blindsided and devastated by his wife's actions. All right, let's talk about this plot. The plot was hatched with the help of a Florida inmate already serving time behind bars, which is crazy. Victoria reportedly learned of the inmate, Grant Amato, through a true crime documentary. Like, what was it about a man who kills his parents and his brother that makes you say, I want time with this person? That in itself shows you something is wrong with Victoria, right?
Really? You think?
Yes, I do think that, Don. So the pair begins writing to each other. Of course, he's stuck in prison. He's not going anywhere. So, of course, he's going to, be in contact with someone who finds him interesting. And somehow he says to her that he's going to arrange. He's going to arrange for this hit, which is crazy. Now, a little bit more about Grant, so you can understand why we're also puzzled as why she chose him. And Grant Amato was a former nurse who was convicted of murdering his parents and brother in their Florida home in January of 2019. Grant's troubles appear to have begun the year before when he was suspended from his job for improperly administering medications to patients. Okay, he gets suspended and his parents are trying to help him out of the hole that he's in. I feel so bad for these parents. He wanted to become a Twitch streamer. He wanted to play video games for live audiences. This was his next plan after nursing didn't work out. His family tried to help him, paid for whatever equipment he needed to set up the whole streaming thing, and he never carries through with it. Instead, he uses the money to pay a woman who he is, well, how can I explain this? He falls in love with a woman who he pays to, do sexual acts for him. He's in love with her. What can I say?
Anna,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
in love with her to the tune of $219,000 paying this model. And they're called models, by the way. That's
Yes.
I just know from reading. $219,000 to pay Sylvie was her name on and I forget whatever the site was.
It was on My Free Cams. Yeah, she's
No,
a
it's not
cam
free.
girl. For those of you who don't know what a cam girl is, it's a female performer. She models, she live streams sexual material for a fee. So he clearly was obsessed with her. I mean, to give her more than $200,000 to Sylvie, that is a crazy amount of money.
Truly.
You do whatever you want with your private life. I don't care. But that is a ton of money that apparently was really his parents' money. So, Sylvie is, I think, what we would describe, a virtual sex worker with on-demand fees. She's available to you. Okay, so she's obsessed. He's obsessed with Sylvie. And then the family intervenes here and says, look, you have a serious problem. We're sending you to rehab. So the family pays another $15,000 to get him into rehab. Okay. Grant comes out of rehab. The family has not given up on him. God bless them. They don't give up on their son. And they say to him, you got to straighten up. You got to get a job, pull your act together, or you're out of the house. Well, Grant didn't like that. He grabs his mother's phone so he can still contact Sylvie.
Yeah.
Horrible.
And
Anyway,
this is the man that you've hired.
Yes, this is the man you hired to carry things out. One thing is he is an efficient killer, right? He has no problems killing. So in that sense, he is a good choice in the sense he gets killing and he has no qualms about it.
Apparently not.
No, it's not like he's going to press the pause button. He's going to be like, sure. Okay, so Grant freaks out because his family's not going to support him and his life with Sylvie, and they're kicking him out. So he shoots his mother in the back of the head, and then they're waiting for Dad to return home. When Dad comes home, shoots
make sure
Dad.
you say that.
Right? Then kills his father.
And the spur of the moment defense.
He's sitting there and waiting. And then he decides to lure his brother to the house so he can kill him too. He kills everyone. And then he tells police, he tries to make it look like it's really a murder-suicide, meaning that his brother, the dead one, that he killed the parents and then killed himself. It was ridiculous. It wasn't true. And the jury saw through that. And so he is rotting in a prison in Florida. What Victoria saw in this broken killer is beyond anyone's comprehension here. Clearly, she is as broken as he is if she sees something in him. Okay, so authorities say that Victoria, reaches out after seeing this whole case laid out in a documentary, and somehow she still wants to have a relationship with this man. And that the communications became romantic. I would call this an emotional affair, I think, Dawn, is what we would call this.
Of course.
Yeah. And Victoria is sharing how she's having problems with Aaron, and I'm sure Grant is very helpful in this area. Now let's get to the murder plot. Sometime in October of 2024, Victoria asked Grant to help her end her husband's life. Victoria gave Grant details about Aaron's schedule. He was going to be on location in California, what hotel he was going to be at, because he was going to be shooting Ghost Adventures. Victoria asked her emotional lover, we've said it before, but I just love repeating this because they have this in the text message. Am I a bad person because I chose to end his existence, not divorce? Unbelievable. Okay. So she, Victoria, put together around $11,000 to pay for the hit and had already made an upfront payment of $2,500 to Grant.
Yep.
So let me ask you this, Don, in the world of crime, especially when it comes to murder plots, we see that a lot, especially if there's like an undercover person working. You actually have to get the payment. Is that correct? In order for to be able to have a greater sense of proving that this was indeed a real plan?
Some sort of reward. It could be land, it could be money, it can be whatever the promise is. That completes the act of the solicitation. So, and like I said, by then, her intent to kill him was absolutely cemented. She thought that she had hired a guy to go kill this guy.
Right. And that was why it was so much harder for her to wiggle out of this because of that payment, because of the payment. Okay. So on the day it's supposed to go down, Aaron is staying in a hotel. Victoria is relaying the information to Grant, who is behind bars, who is then supposedly relaying it to this alleged killer somewhere on the outside. And she's messaging him saying, he's asleep right now in the hotel. I need to know what's going on. This is a man stuck in prison. Can I get an update? Was it done? And she also said, I want this to look like an accident.
Yeah, most hits don't look like accidents. Okay, you can't make it look like an accident. Cut his brake lines, maybe.
So fortunately for Aaron, Florida authorities discovered the plot before the murder. Grant's phone was confiscated, and that's when they discovered the messages and the murder plot. So when she's first confronted by police, Victoria denied wanting to have her husband killed, which is crazy because if it's in writing, a little harder to dispute. And she gave some bizarre answers. Like she said that maybe she was daydreaming or fantasizing about being without her husband. So then Victoria claimed that she didn't remember sending messages to this inmate about this plot. But then when asked about the money that she sent, because they were able to easily trace that, she said, well, it was for cell phones. And that probably is true, but that's only part of the truth.
Yeah.
So then on March 6th of 2025, authorities arrest Victoria and they charge her with solicitation to commit murder as well as conspiracy to commit murder. And then she's held on a $100,000 bond. And that's when the news broke out everywhere. And people were like, what? The wife of a reality star was plotting with some inmate in another state to kill him while he was on location and shooting his reality show. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I just remember reading the headlines at the time. I guess she drove him to the airport, her husband, and that's like the last time he really did see her in that way. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, kiss goodbye, honey. Okay, go ahead. Get the plot going. I mean, that's awful. So Aaron doesn't learn about this plot until his wife is arrested. And he just, again, he can't believe this. So after she's arrested, Aaron then discovers that she had had multiple affairs, had allegedly put a hit on him once before, which is crazy frightening. And even more disturbing, he made a comment. He said that Victoria, quote, got spiritually married to the inmate. And I think that's what I was referring to, this emotional affair, which can be sometimes much stronger even than a physical one. So I don't doubt that. So 6 days after her arrest, Aaron files for divorce. So Don, he really did come to his senses. He's like, I think at first you're like, wait, no, this can't be. I have interviewed people who had no idea they had been duped by their husband into a conspiracy and was so deep into it that she's sitting in prison, this poor woman. This is another case I'm referring to. And the authorities are trying to convince her that her husband really, had tricked her. And she wouldn't believe it. It took her months behind prison to being held on this charge in order to figure out, oh my God, everything was a lie. Everything was a lie. I think people want to be in love.
Truly. And again, that, love is blind.
Oh, yes, it is. So finally, Aaron files for divorce and says there's no possibility of reconciliation. And then in April of 2025, Victoria finally reaches a deal with prosecutors. She admits to the conspiracy charge in exchange for her plea. The solicitation to commit murder is dropped. So after entering her plea, she's finally been sentenced now. It's interesting. It's going to be a minimum of 3 years and up to 7.5 years. And she was given 92 days credit for time served. Does that feel just? I don't know.
Oh, absolutely not. They were just fools to cop her out. And again, I don't know what goes on in Clark County where this thing took on. Nevada's usually a pretty strict state. You look at Simpson, OJ getting 11 years for trying to get his own property back. And then you look at this one, 3.5 years, and she'll probably do just over the minimum in that. She should have been gone. And again, that's the determinant sentencing that's now happening across the country. I don't know why. They had a great case. Why would you cop her out to a plea of something so little as a solicit or as the conspiracy? They had everything there.
Yeah.
Right? They could have flown that inmate in and he would have been compelled to testify. I take the fifth, obviously, but probably not. They had him. He's going to be given way more time. Of course, he's in there for a lot without. But again, there's just something inherently wrong. And I think it was an injustice to Aaron to let her plead to something so little as 3.5 to 7 years for that.
Yeah, I mean, he did ask the judge. He wanted her behind bars, and she deserves to be behind bars. But again, that's what's so fascinating about the criminal justice system, because nothing is ever equal to anything else. You can never apply what happens in one case to another, because the sentences are all over the place. But she will do some time. Now, in court, Victoria faced her ex-husband. She apologized. Everyone's crying, crocodile tears on her end, of course. And she said that she would never forgive herself for the stupid choices. This is beyond stupid choices. Give me a break. I'm always torn here. I always want, the perpetrator to apologize, to come clean. And I want a true sense of, coming to Jesus. And sometimes you really feel the remorse in some people. Mm-hmm. But most of the times it's just like, crocodile tears, or they just don't say anything at all. I don't know. This one, my guess is she's just sorry she got caught.
That's exactly it. And I was going to interject, but I wanted you to finish with that. These people they're sorry they got caught. They're not sorry for doing what they do. And this is through my 25 years with LAPD and since you're sorry because you got caught. If you never got caught, you wouldn't be sorry. And that's, I'm so sorry now. No, you're not. No, sorry started when you contacted this prisoner to kill your husband. Okay, that's sorry.
She continues with her crocodile tears, saying, quote, "I genuinely pray you find your joy and peace again, and I will bow out of your life forever to hopefully ease that process." Oh, isn't that big of her?
Glory be. Yeah. Thank you so much for getting out of my life and not killing me.
She's too much. Then she says, "I'm sorry I broke us, and I'm consumed with regret every day." Yeah, because you're behind bars. And then she added, "My absolute promise to you is that you will never see or hear from me again."
Really?
Really? Really? Oh, she's too much. Oh,
Wouldn't you love to interview her?
I would love to interview her. Let's interview her together.
Oh my God, I'd have a ball. I would pay for that. Just sit down with her and just look at her for the first 5 minutes, staring at her.
All right, Don, we'll get that going.
All right.
Now, but she's not done. Then she says, "I intend to leave the state of Nevada, and you and anyone else will never be in danger of me again." What is this drama that she's going on and on with? You need to apologize and own up. None of this, your promises mean nothing. You're going to leave him alone? I doubt it. Please.
You think she wasn't posturing at that point? She's making herself to be the victim of this.
Oh, she's always going to be the victim
exactly right.
She'll always be the victim. So this is a big performance in court.
Yeah, of course.
Now, Aaron, on the other hand, he also got emotional and he did cry. But I mean, this poor man, his whole world has come crashing down and he's processing a lot of things here. I have more compassion for Aaron than you do, Don.
Oh, no, let me correct that. I do feel bad. I feel bad for anybody that becomes a true victim like that. That should never happen to anyone. My contention is you had to have known somewhere. And I think you choose not to accept the flags, that you want this so badly to work that you're going to not think clearly. And that's all I'm saying is I just don't think the guy took the time to step back and go, hey, something's wrong here.
Well, I think he's seen that. I think he has done the stepping back and he sees more than he ever realized, which is why I think it's so frightening and jarring for him. Aaron said in court, now discovering that she put a hit out to kill me more than once and that she got blackmailed and then spent almost our entire savings to keep it quiet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what are you seeing now? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This woman's evil.
Yeah, she is evil without question. Aaron said in court, he was crying. He said that she had shattered his trust, destroying his peace, left him living with an armed security guard. Understandable, because you don't know what else she may have done, put in motion. You don't know. Aaron told the court that he would never truly feel safe again after all of these discoveries. And he really wants her to be behind bars. And that now behind bars, she is trying. This is also interesting. He said she was trying to manipulate him through lawyers to try and silence me not to come here today. So she manages to get a message to him. This is what he's telling the judge. I believe him, that she tried to get a message to him. She didn't want him to say anything.
I can see that.
Trying to control him? Yeah. Really? You try to kill him. Now you want to silence him in another manner?
And I hope, I feel bad in the sense that this poor guy really wanted his marriage to work out. Yeah. And I hope as he goes forward, the distrust, and rightfully so, he should never trust someone again. But I hope he's able to overcome this, because it's a horrible thing that happened to him. I don't care what my part of this is. You should have, could have, would have, should have known. The bottom line is he is a victim, and he got just trampled by this woman, and it hit him so like taking a baseball bat and hit him right upside the head.
It's awful.
And I hope he's able to overcome this and pursue another woman and have a relationship with without thinking that she's going to kill him as well. Mm-hmm. I just think if he 10 years from now, 5 years from now, he looks at everything and said, oh shit, of course.
Right.
That's a sign.
Yeah.
So it makes it better for the next one.
I hope so. And he did say on social media, he thanked his friends, his family, and his fans for continuing to support and writing, "Thank you, everyone, for all the love and support through this emotionally trying time. It has really helped a lot, and I appreciate all of you." Because that's the thing about when you see people either on TV shows or social media, you feel like you know them. Cool. And then to have something so private become so public, and your marriage and all the dirty laundry and the affairs, and then you find out there was perhaps another attempt on your life, that is definitely a lot to process privately or publicly. So I hope that he feels safe for a while. I really do, and I hope she gets help behind bars, because she needs some serious help. We wish a lot of healing for Aaron. Absolutely. And rarely do we see justice as swiftly as this, that she is arrested, has a plea deal, and is sentenced. This could have dragged on for years. You may not think that it is correct, the justice, but at least it was fairly quickly from arrest to sentencing, which we rarely see. And my feeling is Aaron just wants this thing to go away. and just go away.
And he has closure.
Yeah.
He really does, because everybody's in custody. Again, I understand his paranoia. Was there something else out there? But at least for this moment and for who was involved with it, he does have closure, which a lot of people don't get. They don't get to have that. So I give him credit for that. And like I said, I hope he progresses and meets somebody and, matches his love and never has to worry about this again. But how do you not? Right?
Yeah. Well, Don, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people follow you? I know you do a lot of commentary elsewhere. Are you on social media? Where do we find you?
Okay. So I don't really know if I'm on social media. I'm not really good. However, I have a website, which is dontabak.net, dontabak.net. And I'm also doing something that I'm having a ball called Crime Scene Live at the Hollywood Lowe's Hotel. And what we do is it's a small room setting, like the old day little nightclub, if you will. And we talk about a lot of the crimes that I was involved with, what's going on today, Melendez. And at the very end of this, we'll do a homicide and get everybody involved and let them go through the same thing that I went through on one of my murders and see what they come up with and see if they feel that same kind of frustration that happened in this particular murder. So it's called Crime Scene Live. And the next one will be on the 27th and 28th of June, Friday and Saturday, 2 shows. Starts at 8:00. It's, like I said, it's a neat thing to do to get everybody involved that maybe don't know the inner workings of a homicide guy in a metropolitan police department. So
I have a question here, Don, because this sounds fascinating to me. Is this like a murder mystery dinner?
No, not at all. Nope. It's just me being like we were talking about this crime. We talk about Melendez. We talk about not as much about Simpson anymore. We talk about 2 of the most horrible crimes that I handled, and to bring people in the know of how this was handled and what we went through as homicide guys, so they get that information that they would not have received anywhere else. Granted, they're not high-profile cases, but they were high-profile through the people that were involved in them, to the families. And like I said, the very end of this thing, it's not a murder mystery, but we're going to give out all this information about finding this person. And what do we do? How do we start this investigation? What do we do with the coroner? How do we process evidence? Would you recover this? What do you guys think? So it's all interactive the entire night. And it's 30 or 40 people in the room. And it's just really me trying to meet them and get them to understand what we as homicide guys go through.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, pretty fun.
That really is. Okay. Very cool. I hope you come back, Don. I would
love to, Anna. And thank you so much for having me. I'm new to all this. So to be able to talk to you about anything in here and on this social media thing with this old boy trying to learn this, I'm having a ball doing it. So please, whenever you need something, please call me.
Absolutely. And I love your frankness. It's just like you're not filtered.
No, the filter kind of left. So I apologize for anything I might have said, out of
it's all right. No, we appreciate the frankness and the authenticity of it. So please remember that you can find us everywhere on social media quite easily at My True Crime News. You can find me at Anna G News. This episode, all the episodes of our podcast, wherever you get your podcast, or if you want to watch the podcast, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That is where we are the most active, where we love to have the conversation with you. Love to read your comments all the time. I read them. Sign up to receive our newsletter on truecrimenews.com. So until next week, this is True Crime News, the podcast. I'm your host, Ana Garcia. Crime never stops, and neither do we.